It's the same story most nights, isn't it? You didn't overeat, you were good all day, and there it is in the mirror before bed anyway. The middle that won't quit. And nobody ever tells you that the hours you're asleep are some of the most important fat-burning hours you've got. I'm Dr. Becker, and this is Lose Fat with Dr. Becker, where I read the visceral fat research most people never see and hand it back to you in plain English. Quick, honest note before we start. I'm a researcher, not your doctor, and I'm not selling you a before and after. None of this is medical advice, and you never start, stop, or change a medication on your own. You take that to the people managing your care. With that said, let me confess something about fat loss I got wrong for a long time. For years, I treated sleep like the thing you do after the real work of fat loss is finished. I'd read the diet papers, the movement papers, the fasting papers, and sleep was a footnote. Get your 8 hours, sure, next slide. I was wrong, and I want to tell you exactly how I was wrong, because it might be the most underused lever you have, especially after 60. Here's what I missed. The hours you spend asleep are not empty. Your body is running a whole overnight shift, deciding whether to store the fat around your organs or let some of it go. And the habits in the 60 minutes before you close your eyes tip that decision one way or the other. Not by magic, not by 10 times anything, and I'll be honest about that number in a bit, but by a real, measurable amount that adds up night after night after night. And the reason this landed so hard for me is that it's the one lever most of my community isn't even pulling. You've cut the bread, you've walked after dinner, you've read every food listicle I've ever made, but the sleep? The sleep gets whatever's left over after the day is done. And for a lot of us, after 60, that's 5 or 6 broken hours in a warm room with the phone glowing. We are, without meaning to, leaving the single easiest lever untouched, and then wondering why the middle won't move. So tonight I want to hand it back to you. Let me put the machinery in front of you first, in plain words, because once you see it, you'll understand every single thing I ask you to do tonight. There are 2 hormones running the overnight show. The first is cortisol, your stress hormone, the one that gets your body ready to handle a threat. Cortisol is supposed to be low at night. That's its natural rhythm. Low in the evening so you can rest. The second is growth hormone, which sounds like something for teenagers, but stays with you your whole life, and it does something useful for us. During your deepest sleep, growth hormone tells your body to release stored fat and use it for fuel. That's called lipolysis, just a long word for unlocking fat from the storage cell so it can be burned. Now here's the problem, and it's the whole reason we're here. When you don't sleep well, cortisol doesn't drop the way it should. It stays up in the evening, and the whole daily rhythm flattens out. And a review of the sleep and obesity research through last year lays it out plainly. Chronically short sleep keeps evening cortisol elevated, and elevated cortisol pushes your body to store fat in one particular place, the belly, the deep belly, the visceral fat, which is the fat that wraps around your liver and your gut, not the soft inch you can pinch at your waist. That's the fat that matters most for your health, and stress hormones send it straight there. I know what some of you are thinking. Come on, doc, everybody sleeps badly, and not everybody has a belly. Fair. Let me be careful here, because I don't want to oversell one lever. Sleep is one driver among several. Your food matters, your movement matters, your genes have a say. But here's what got my attention. In a controlled experiment where healthy people had their sleep cut back, the researchers didn't just see them gain a little weight. They saw the fat go inward, to the visceral area, with roughly an 11% jump in that deep abdominal fat over just a couple of weeks of short nights. The scale barely moved, the dangerous fat moved a lot. That's the quiet part. You can be doing everything right at the table and lose ground in your sleep. So let's fix the overnight shift. 5 things, all of them free or nearly free. All of them doable tonight. The first one is the foundation, and it's the least glamorous, so let me get it out of the way honestly. Protect your deep sleep, because that's when growth hormone does the fat-releasing work I described. The largest pulse of growth hormone comes in your first deep sleep stretch, and here's the detail most people miss. The biggest chunk of that deep sleep happens before midnight. If you're a night owl who drifts off at 1 in the morning, you're not just sleeping less, you may be sleeping past the window where the biggest fat-releasing pulse would have fired. So the practical move, and I'll tell you what I'd actually do if it were my waist, is to pick a bedtime and hold it, ideally on the earlier side, and go to bed within about the same half hour every night, weekends included. Not a perfect bedtime, a consistent one. Your body runs the overnight shift far better when it knows when the shift starts. Cheapest fat lever in this whole video, and it costs you nothing but a decision about when to turn off the television. Let me make it even more concrete, because after 60, this is where a lot of us slip without noticing. It's not usually that we plan a late night. It's that the last show runs long, or we doze in the chair at 9, wake at 10 feeling wide awake, and then the real bedtime slides to midnight. So the trick I'd actually use is to set an alarm, not for the morning, for the night. A little reminder at, say, 9:15 that says, wind down now. Lights lower, television off, teeth brushed, because the wind down is the part that has to happen on time, not the falling asleep. You can't force sleep, but you can absolutely control when you start heading toward it. Get the runway consistent and the landing takes care of itself. Now that's one. Here's the next, and it's even simpler. Make the room cool and dark. I used to think this was wellness blog fluff. Then I looked at why it works, and it's not fluff, it's just quiet. A cool dark room helps you fall into and stay in that deep slow wave sleep, the exact stage where the growth hormone pulse lives. Light leaking in, a warm stuffy room, a phone glowing on the nightstand, all of it nudges you toward lighter, more broken sleep, and broken sleep blunts the hormone surge. So tonight, drop the thermostat a couple of degrees, cooler than feels normal for a living room. Pull the curtains, or if light still sneaks in, a $5 eye mask does the job. And get the phone off the nightstand, or at least face down and across the room. Sensory version, so you know what we're aiming for. You want the room to feel like a cave, cool and black and quiet, not like a den with the lamp on. Cool enough that you reach for the blanket rather than kick it off. Dark enough that when you open your eyes at 2 in the morning, which many of us do at our age, you genuinely can't see your hand. That's the environment your overnight fat shift was built for. And let me back up for 1 second and be careful, because I don't want you to hear this as one more thing to feel guilty about at 3 a.m. Nobody sleeps perfectly, and waking in the night is normal as we get older. The goal isn't a flawless 8 hours. The goal is to stop actively working against your own deep sleep with a warm, bright room, when a cool, dark one is free and takes 5 minutes to set up. Let me put that on the plate before we move on. Or rather, off the plate, because the third one is about what you drink. Cut the late night alcohol. I know. Nobody wants to hear it, and I'm not going to wag a finger at your evening glass. But you asked me to be honest about what moves the fat, so here it is. The moment alcohol is in your bloodstream, your body treats it like a small emergency. It has no way to store alcohol, so it drops almost everything else and works to clear it first. And the thing it drops is fat burning. The research on this is striking. A nightcap can suppress your overnight fat oxidation, meaning your ability to burn fat for fuel, by a large chunk for several hours, right during the window when growth hormone should be helping you burn. So you get the double hit. The alcohol also fragments your deep sleep, blunting the hormone, and it parks your fat burning while your body deals with the drink. Here's the practical, realistic version, because I'm not going to tell a grown adult to never enjoy a glass of wine. If you drink, move it earlier. A glass with dinner at 6 is a very different thing for your overnight shift than a glass at 10. Give your body a few hours to clear it before that fat-burning window opens. Earlier and less is the whole trick. You don't have to be a monk. You just have to stop handing your body a job to do at the exact hour it's supposed to be burning fat. And if the evening drink is really a wind-down ritual, which for a lot of us it is, more about the routine than the alcohol, then swap the ritual, not just the timing. Keep the nice glass, keep the sitting down at 9, and pour something warm instead. A cup of chamomile or a plain herbal tea does the same wind-down job, signals the body that the day is closing, and asks nothing of your overnight fat burning. I'm not asking you to give up the moment. I'm asking you to give your body the moment without the metabolic bill that comes due at midnight. Which brings me to the one most people skip, and it's about your evening supplements, so I have to slow you down and be careful. A lot of you have heard that magnesium helps you sleep, and there's something real here, but let me tell you exactly what the evidence says and doesn't say, because this is where the internet oversells. There's a randomized placebo-controlled trial from last year, over 150 adults who slept poorly, where a nightly magnesium, the glycinate form, which is just magnesium bound to the amino acid glycine, so it's gentle on the stomach, produced a small but real improvement in sleep. Small, not a sleeping pill. And here's the honest catch that I love about this study. The benefit was strongest in the people who were low on magnesium to begin with. In plain terms, it works mostly by filling a gap, not by drugging you to sleep. So the practical, cheap move, and please, alongside your doctor, especially if you have any kidney issue or take other medications, so check first, is this. If your sleep is ragged and you suspect your diet is thin on magnesium, a modest magnesium glycinate at night is a low-cost thing to try for a few weeks. Emphasis on modest, and emphasis on try. If it does nothing after a month, it wasn't your problem and you stop wasting money. That's the whole point of this channel. I'd rather you know it's a gap filler than believe it's a miracle. And second thing, on the evening, and this one's free, or nearly. Let's talk about eating before bed, because there are two questions buried in here, and I get them constantly. The first is the late carb question. A big plate of bread or pasta or dessert late at night gives your body a rush of fuel to deal with, right when it should be winding down. And combined with a drink, that's about the maximum fat storage scenario you can build for yourself. So the move there is simple. Push your last real meal earlier, and keep the very late eating light. Now the second question, and here's where I have to correct a myth I used to have believed myself. A lot of people ask whether a little protein before bed, something like a casein protein, the slow digesting protein in dairy, will hurt their overnight fat burning. And when I dug into the actual study on this, obese men given a small casein protein snack before sleep, the honest answer surprised me. It didn't hurt them. Their overnight fat metabolism, their morning fat burning, all of it, unchanged compared to nothing. Now let me say that more carefully, because I don't want you to hear the wrong thing. That study did not show the protein melted fat. It showed a small protein snack before bed does not sabotage your overnight fat metabolism the way a big sugary snack or a drink does. So the practical takeaway is permission, not a magic food. If you're genuinely hungry at night and it's keeping you up, a small light protein snack, a bit of plain Greek yogurt, some cottage cheese, is a far better choice than the crackers or the wine, and it won't undo your overnight shift. But if you're not hungry, don't add it. You don't earn fat loss by eating more of anything. You just avoid the things that sabotage the 8 quiet hours. Now let me build on all of that with the fifth lever, and it ties the whole night together. Give yourself an overnight eating gap, somewhere around 12 hours from your last bite at night to your first bite in the morning. This isn't the extreme fasting the internet loves to dramatize. It's just closing the kitchen. Finish dinner and don't eat again until breakfast. Roughly a 12-hour stretch that happens mostly while you're asleep anyway. The research on time-restricted eating, where people keep their food inside a window and leave a solid overnight gap, shows modest, real improvements in body weight and in some of the fat measures. And notice I said modest and real, not dramatic, not 10 pounds a week. A gentle nudge that stacks on top of the sleep, the cool room, the earlier drink. Here's the doable version. Say you finish dinner at 7. You simply don't eat again until 7 the next morning. That's it. That's the whole protocol. Water and plain tea in between are fine. What you're doing is letting your body finish digesting well before bed, so the overnight fat burning window opens clean, without a late snack keeping insulin, the hormone that tells your body to store rather than burn, up when it should be settling down. Close the kitchen at night, 12 hours, free. And here's the honest caveat, because I won't oversell it. The research doesn't say the 12-hour gap works because of some special fasting magic. A lot of the benefit is plain and human. When you close the kitchen after dinner, you skip the bowl of ice cream in front of the television, the handful of crackers, the late grazing that nobody counts. So part of what you're really doing is removing the very calories that were sneaking in at your softest hour of the day. That's fine, that counts. You don't need it to be magic. You need it to be a rule you can keep. And a closed kitchen is one of the easiest rules there is, because the decision is made once, at dinner, instead of fought 10 times over an evening. One tip that makes it stick, and Walt used this one. After you clean up dinner, brush your teeth. Early, I know. But a clean mouth is a small signal that the kitchen is closed. And it's a surprising amount of friction against wandering back in for a snack. I sat with a man last spring, I'll call him Walt, who came to me rattled. Absolutely rattled. Because his waist measurement had crept up 2 inches in a year, and he swore he hadn't changed a thing about his eating. And he hadn't, at the table. But when we walked through his evenings, there it was. Bedtime drifting later and later, chasing the news and the late shows. A couple of drinks most nights to unwind. A warm bedroom, a bright phone, snacking past 10. Every one of his nights was quietly telling his body to store fat in the middle. He didn't have a willpower problem. He had an overnight shift problem. And the thing I remember most is the relief on his face when he realized it wasn't that he'd failed at eating. It was that nobody had ever told him the 8 hours counted. And let me be straight with you, because I promise you honesty, and here's where I deliver it. Look at the title of this video, 10 times fat loss while you sleep. That number is not real, and I want you to hear me say it plainly. There is no food, no ritual, no supplement that multiplies your fat loss by 10 overnight, and any thumbnail that promises it, including the aggressive one that may have brought you here, is promising you something the body cannot do. What is real is this: sleep is a genuine, powerful, badly underused lever, and almost nobody uses it. When you fix your nights, the effect is modest and it is slow, and it works by consistency, not by intensity. One good night doesn't do it. 90 good nights start to. That's the honest trade. And the second honest thing, the one that matters most. If you are on a medication, a GLP-1 like Ozempic or Wegovy or Mounjaro or metformin or anything else, none of this replaces it, and I will never, ever tell you to stop or change a dose. You do all of this alongside your doctor, never instead of them, and never change a dose on your own. A good night's sleep is a wonderful thing. It is not a prescription, and anyone who tells you it is selling something. So here's your one thing this week, and it's the cheapest one on the list. Pick a bedtime and hold it. Just that. Choose a time on the earlier side, a time that lets you catch that pre-midnight deep sleep, and go to bed within about the same half hour every night for 7 nights straight, weekends included. Don't touch the food yet, don't buy the magnesium yet, don't overhaul everything. Just give your overnight shift a consistent start time and let the growth hormone do its quiet work when it's supposed to. If that one change goes smoothly, add the cool dark room next week. Then move the drink earlier the week after. One brick at a time. That's how this actually holds. Your metabolism didn't betray you, and you didn't fail. The middle changed because the machinery changed. The cortisol rhythm, the sleep, the hormones that run the overnight shift. And here's the good news in all of it. That machinery still answers to what you do next. It answers to when you go to bed tonight, to how cool and dark your room is, to whether you hand your body a drink to clean up or let it burn instead. Small, repeatable, alongside your doctor. That's the whole game. You don't have to win the night by trying harder. You win it by getting out of your body's way during the 8 hours it already knows how to do this. Bring your numbers, your waist, your sleep, whatever's worrying you, to the people caring for you. That's where the medicine belongs. Keep it steady, keep it doable, and I'll see you right back here. Bring a friend who needs this.